Hello, welcome to Purana Talk.
We're reading the Garuda Purana. Named for the mount or Vahana of Lord Vishnu. And overall, it's an encyclopedic and cosmopolitan approach that isn't really heavy-handed on the Vaishnava devotional stuff. But right now it is. Chapter 230 of the first part, Devotion to Vishnu. Suta is speaking. After going through all sacred literature and deliberating frequently, this is the only conclusion arrived at, that Narayana is to be meditated upon constantly. Once you've read all the holy books, the bottom line is just meditate on Narayana. It's not worth the effort. But you wouldn't know that without reading them first. So, if a man meditates on Lord Narayana constantly with single-minded devotion, of what use to him are the making of gifts, pilgrimages, austerities, and sacrifices? 60,000 holy centers and 6,000 sacred rivers do not merit comparison with even a 16th part of the act of kneeling before the deity Narayana. Constant remembrance of Krishna is far superior to all kinds of expiatory rites and practices of austerities. We're at 5. If a person performing ordinary rites of expiation begins to love the sin committed, no other atonement is possible except hearty remembrance of Hari. That's an interesting kind of one. It's like,
If they enjoy sinning too much, then only God can save them.
yeah, if they're out there just doing their purifications because they sinned and they know they're going to do it again, then the only, the expiation isn't going to do it. Only devotion to Krishna will.
So, the message I'm getting from this is that really, if you're going to be saved from your sinning, it's going to be from the goodwill of God.
Or just throwing yourself so totally into something which is the path of devotion that you don't think of anything else. You don't have time to be bad, right? Because you're just like,
use up all of your energy.
Gaga for God. Mm-hmm. Okay. 6. If a person meditates upon Narayana even for a few minutes without any lassitude, he attains heaven. What doubt is then about one who is always engrossed in it? The state of mind of a yogin in the various stages of walking, dreaming, slumbering, and trance. Is that waking? And they just put an L in there.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it
just
is.
The rest of the group, dreaming, slumbering, trance, is similar to that of the mind directed towards achyuta. The state of mind of a yogin in waking, dreaming, slumbering, and trance is similar to that of the mind directed towards achyuta.
What's achyuta mean?
I think it is it's almost like untouchable, but it's like the unreachable, the transcendent Lord, just out of reach, kind of. I could be completely wrong because it's just my memory, and my memory's not that good. 8. It is the duty of the devotee to remember Govinda, the Lord of Lakshmi, whether standing, falling, prattling, entering the chamber, taking food, or just waking up. And they say Govinda, which we think of as Krishna, as the Lord of Lakshmi, and of course the pairing that we ordinarily think of as Lakshmi with Vishnu, Krishna with Radha, or any of a number of.
But Lakshmi in a way is.
Oh yes, Lakshmi in a way is all Shakti. Of these, because it's the Shiva Shakti, it's the Vishnu Lakshmi, Lakshmi Narayana. Mm-hmm. The pair transmutes. It manifests. as different avatars. No avatar is without its Shakti, and all avatars of Vishnu are ultimately Lakshmi. So, 9. Assiduously engaging in one's own duty, one shall fix one's mind in Janardana. The statement is in accordance with the sacred literature. There is no use in talking much. No discussion is necessary. And you'll notice it just as it goes through here, it just changes the name all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if it's telling you that the deity that even though all the names are drawn from the Vaishnava pantheon, it's almost suggesting that the name itself is, it's trying to show you that it's the deity behind the name that is really what you're focusing on, perhaps.
Not any one aspect of it.
Yeah. Sure. Assiduously engaging in one's, I mean, it has that message in it, don't you think? Just because the name constantly changes, but you know that they're talking about the same things.
Well, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily even understand who was being talked about.
Well, I suppose
the way it is.
If you were a virgin to the literature too, you might think these are all different gods that they're talking about. And in a sense, they are.
Well, they're different aspects.
They're different aspects. They have different characteristics, different things that they hold. If you depict them iconographically, they're distinct from each other. Assiduously engaged in one's own duty, one shall fix one's mind in Janardana. The statement is in accordance with the sacred literature. There's no use in talking about it. End of discussion. 10. Meditation is the greatest virtue. Meditation is the greatest penance. Meditation is the greatest purificatory rite. Hence, one shall be devoted to meditation. I think that's unambiguous. Meditate, damn it. First, it gives you all these different names of God and tells you you're devoted to the thing that stands behind all those different names. And then, when you go how, it says meditate.
Now, what to meditate on? Guess what? Here we go.
There is no greater object of meditation than Vishnu. There is no greater penance than fasting on Ekadashi day. It says there's no greater penance than fasting. The author in interpreting has indicated on Ekadashi day in parentheses here, because that is the day of the Vaishnavas, particularly the most important fasting day for the Vaishnava cult. But the text didn't say that. It just said fasting. Even more important than that is the constant thought of Vasudeva. There it's unambiguous again. It's Vishnu. Madhusudana, when meditated upon, gives the devotee unsolicited what is difficult to get and what cannot be even comprehended. Another name, Madhusudana, Vasudeva, Vishnu, Janardana, Govinda, Narayana, Krishna. It's like, how many names? I love it. In a way, it's 13. If inadvertently a slip occurs while one is performing a sacrifice, a mere remembrance of Vishnu fills the void. This is what is laid down in the Vedas. 14. There's no other way of atoning for sins comparable to meditation. The fire of yogic practices, with the meditation on Vishnu, burns away the causes, bringing about the birth of the future body. In other words, it's our karma that determines our future incarnations. And by burning off karma, you incarnate to a higher and higher level. And when you've burned off all your karma, you don't incarnate anymore. So it's sort of yogic practice is a path to that. And meditation is, the way yoga is depicted in the Puranas, it seems that meditation is probably the highest practice.
Right.
Rather than the hatha physical thing. Asana is mentioned, and otherwise there's a lot of cosmology, meditation, and such. 15. A yogin competent to practice the state of trance attains salvation in this very birth by burning all karmas in the fire of yoga without delay. So just what we were saying. So it turns out this chapter 230 has to be considered, I think, a contribution to what yoga is, how yoga is depicted in the Puranas. It tells you all the way up in 7, the state of mind of a yogin is similar to that of the mind directed towards Vishnu. It says, this is the kind of thing. And in fact, doing yoga, doing meditation, but keeping Vishnu as the deity that you focus on is
that's probably what's
a
radical
powerful
about it,
path to liberation, to burning off the karmas that determine your rebirth. Oh, goody, it's a longer one. 16. Just as a blazing fire with leaping flames consumes the heap of dried straw, so also the fire of yoga consumes all sins when Lord Vishnu is fixed in the mind. 17. Just as gold is freed of its impurities due to its contact with fire, so also the impurities of men are dispelled by Vasudeva. When Hari is remembered, so it's a nice little alchemical sort of reference, the idea that you can purify gold, burning off all its impurities in the fire of Vasudeva is to humans what that fire is to gold. When Hari is remembered, 18, when Hari is remembered, so much sin is quelled as can be quelled by thousands of ablutions in the Gangetic waters, and the holy ablutions taken for millions of times in the holy tanks of Pushkara. Within a moment after the contemplation of Hari, so much sin is dissolved as is wiped off by means of thousands of pranayamas. So it's saying even though yoga is highly espoused, this one really important aspect of yoga that comes out in the Puranas, that of pranayama, is nothing next to just pure devotion and contemplation of Hari. Evil influences of the Kali age, wicked statements, vile utterances of heretics, none of these affect the mind of the person in whose mind Lord Keshava finds a place. And the literature will tell you that bhakti, besides tantra, are the paths of the Kali age, the path to take during the Kali age to get yourself through.
Yeah, and it's been selling us on bhakti for a few verses.
Yeah, this is the big bhakti section. Now, when it could go on,
Well, a few chapters, really.
The Bhagavata Purana was get ready to be preached to if you read that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth the trip, but brace yourself. 21. The moment in which Lord Hari is remembered has the auspicious properties of the holy tithis. Don't laugh. Days of the lunar month, days, nights, beneficent lunar conjunctions, and holy lagnas. Conjunctions. Yeah. Special lagnas, I guess, are units of time, so they're not just a point of time.
They're divisions.
But I can't tell you much about that. Ask an astrologer. 22. If a moment passes without remembering Vasudeva, it is a great loss, a great void, a blindness, a sluggishness, a dumbfoundedness. Duh. If Govinda is fixed in the mind, the vile age of Kali is transformed into Krita, one of the other better ages. If Achyuta is not fixed in the mind, even Krita age is transformed into Kali age. So even if you're lucky enough to live in the Krita age, it's like living in the Kali age if you're not full of Vishnu. He whose mind is...
we have to question for a moment.
Oh, I question everything.
If Vishnu is everything in the universe, how could you not be Vishnu?
Right? Yeah.
Like, there is that.
But see, we don't have that bright light thing, or we just step out in front of an oncoming bullet cart and it would be over.
Exactly.
So, because of that, it's telling us, well, here, we've got this idea of Vishnu, and we're going to tell you to make that the focus of your consciousness. If you need an image, go to the holy books and imagine Krishna. Imagine his dark blue skin and his beautiful, bright yellow clothing and his gorgeous face and and the earrings. I mean, you have all of these just to keep your mind occupied on that whenever it would have an opportunity to drift into baser concerns. Will liberate you and make you feel as if you're living in this other magical time, even if you're in the Kali age. It sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah.
24. He whose mind is fixed on Govinda while going ahead or retreating or standing alone is always contented. 25. O Maitreya, even if there is any obstacle in japa, homa, or worship, the desired fruits thereof, as devendrahood, etc., can be attained if the mind is fixed on Vasudeva. Devendrahood, I never thought of it. You could attain devendrahood. Life into hood. 20. I don't know, devendrahood. That's kind of cute. I know what he means. Kind of. A person with his mind dedicated to Keshava chops off the Maya of the Purusha without forsaking the duties of a householder and without performing great penance. You don't have to do great penance. You don't have to give up living at home with your wife and the kids. If you just dedicate your mind to Keshava, you can cut through the illusion. And so that's cool. It's sort of interesting. It's the tonic. It's the opposite of the one that says you got to leave your family, you got to go wandering.
Yeah, well, it's just more of the tantric line of things. But they were, in other chapters, they've told us to do that too.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
27. If Govinda is stationed in the heart, people readily forgive angry persons and sympathize with fools. They are joyous in the company of virtuous people. While performing the various holy rites of ablutions, making gifts, etc., or expiatory rites, especially after sinful actions, Lord Narayana should be meditated upon. They gain much, they achieve great success, they are not affected by failure, they in whose hearts is stationed Lord Janardana, dark in color, like the blue lotus. Yeah, there you go. I was just talking about imagining it's like, rather than just saying, "Oh, it's all the same," like what I think about. It at least gives you a handle, and even if the purpose of the handle is to ultimately transcend it and get into the, dissolve yourself into the karmically untainted, pure. I don't know. Here we're going to attain enlightenment before we finish the chapter. We can't have that.
All right. No worry.
Even worms, birds, etc., with their minds fixed on Hari progress upwards. Wow. There could be worms out there thinking of Vishnu.
It's all Vishnu, so why not?
Then what doubt is there in the case of the wise? Why don't people seek refuge under the shade of the tree Vasudeva, which accords no excessive chillness or heat, and which closes the doorway to hell? O friend, if Madhusudana is fixed in the heart, neither the curse of the sage Durvasas nor the overlordship of Indra can affect the people. Excuse me. Dharana, fixation of the heart, is perfect. It's like hanging on, holding on. Dharana is perfect when the mind does not go astray from Lord Vishnu, whether he is talking or standing or whether he is engaged in some activity of his choice. One shall always meditate upon Narayana stationed in the middle of the solar zone, seated on the holy lotus seat, bedecked in bracelets, golden earrings, crown and necklaces with a golden complexion, and wielding shankha and chakra. There is nothing so holy as meditation. Even the sin of taking food from the hands of a shvapacha, or chandala, a low caste or outcast person, does not taint him. The mind of a wretch is always attached to worldly objects. If one's mind were that much attached to Narayana, how could he not be released from bondage? If you put that much attention, pardon us.
We're back.
Yes. Suta said, how can he who is devoted to Vishnu bow to anyone? He can enable himself to cross the ocean of sins. That is perfect knowledge where Govinda presides. That is true discourse where Keshava is discussed. That is the holy rite which is performed for his sake. Of what use are other profuse discussions? We're at 39. That is the true tongue which utters the praise of Lord Hari. That is the true mind which is dedicated to him. Only those hands which perform his adoration are worthy of praise. That head alone is fruitful which bows to the Lord. The success of hand lies in according to the Lord stationed in heaven. The mind that always dwells on his qualities and exploits is successful. The speech extolling the qualities of Govinda is all successful. Sinful actions so huge as mountain Meru or the Mount Mandara are dissipated entirely by merely remembering Lord Keshava. You're supposed to say something pithy,
Oh, this.
Pith on it, yes, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going through this,
They're basically saying remembering Vishnu is the remedy for everything, but they've got to give you every detail.
Yeah, but I sort of dislike these sections where, that head alone is fruitful, which bows to the Lord. Like if you're not bound to Vishnu, you're crap, So,
well,
really,
and there was this,
but it's all Vishnu
reference. Well, exactly. There was this reference to how can a devotee of Vishnu bow to anyone? Like that's very anti-government too.
If that's what it really means, and it's, maybe in the transition. How can he who is devoted to Vishnu bow to anyone? He can enable himself to cross the ocean of sins. In other words, you have no dependence on anyone. If you are devoted to Vishnu, you can paddle your own boat across the ocean through devotion. Mm-hmm. The ocean of devotion. Okay. 42. Whatever man does, good or bad, should be dedicated to Narayana. Whoa. Then he is not affected adversely. Ooh.
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate justification, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a little troubling. 43. You can think about that. 43. The living beings beginning with a blade of grass and ending with Brahma are fourfold. All the universe, mobile or immobile, lies asleep due to thy Maya, O Hari. The person whose mind is dedicated to the Lord never goes to hell. The person who thinks of the Lord attains heaven. If the mind rests in the Lord, he is never faced with obstacles. The region of Brahma is a mere trifle. The imperishable Lord accords salvation to the sluggish-minded persons if he is thought of. The fact that a person dissolves himself when the Lord Achyuta is sung is only a small matter. 45. Those who wish to cross the ocean of misery shall perform the rites in fire, japa, ablution, and meditation, and adoration of Vishnu. They are sure to cross it, the ocean of misery. 46. The king is the refuge of the nation, the parents that of the child. Virtue is the refuge of all men, and Lord Hari is the refuge of everyone. O excellent sage, there is no greater holy center than those who bow to the eternal Vasudeva, the source of the universe. 48. One can meditate on Govinda without lassitude with the same purpose in view as in observing the worship of valuable gems or the study of the Vedas. 49. I consider a Shudra, Nishada, and Shvapacha, or a Brahmin, equal to one another. They are devotees of the Lord. If they are devotees of the Lord, none of these goes to hell. So it's putting a Brahmin in the same camp as the lowest caste people in society, saying, if they're devotees of the Lord, then they are equal, and none of them go to hell. They may go to separate heavens, however. 49, 50. People praise a rich man with great respect, wishing for some monetary benefit. If they were to praise the creator of the world with the same zeal, is there any doubt that they would be released from bondage? 51. A powerful forest fire burns even a wet fuel. Vishnu, so stationed in the heart, burns all sins of yogins.
We had forest fire come up a lot in that section on Krishna.
It's like this last section, they're just little aphorisms, one after the other. That's why I'm sort of reading their numbers. They're all little, things to stitch onto a sampler. Deer and other creatures never stay on in a mountain forest that burns. Similarly, all sorts of sins never stay on in a person engaged in yogic practice. There's another yoga reference in 52. Do the yoga. And yoga, again, is simply union. And so, yoke yourself to God. 53. The benefit that accrues to one is in proportion to one's faith. If at all there is any limitation in the influence of Lord Krishna, it is this. Finally, 54, Shishupala, the son of Dhammaghosha, remembering Lord Govinda with hatred, attained salvation. What doubt is there about a person who is engrossed completely in him? And this is an interesting one that's come up before, with demons so obsessed with their enmity towards God that they can't help but be liberated, because they're really true bhaktas that are completely absorbed, completely obsessed with God,
even though it's in a negative way. It's a fixation.
Now, there's a footnote to Shishupala, who we're talking about, and it says, according to the Vishnu Purana, this monarch was in a previous existence the unrighteous Hiranyakashipu, king of the Asuras, who was killed by Vishnu in the form of Narasingha. He was next born as the 10-headed Ravana, who was killed by Rama. Then he was born as the son of Dhammaghosha and continued his enmity to Krishna, the 8th incarnation of Vishnu, with even greater implacability. He denounced Krishna when they met at the Rajasuya sacrifice of Yudhishthira, but his head was cut off by Krishna with his discus. His death forms the subject of a celebrated poem by Magha. That's interesting. I don't know the poem. I don't know Magha. I'll have to look into that. So, Shishupala, the son of Dhammaghosha. That's it, chapter 230.
Thanks.